Remember back to when you first discovered poker and a whole new world opened up for you. At first, it was just a hobby, a way to challenge yourself and maybe make a little bit of money on the side. Then you got hooked. Every spare moment, you were thinking about the game, analyzing hands, and strategizing for your next session. And soon, you started to win. That first big pot, the thrill of the game, the adrenaline rush, it became addictive. You started to think, maybe I can do this full time. Maybe I can make a living out of this game. So you decide to go all in. You set up your poker station at home. You invest in a new laptop, track your progress in PT4, and start to take the game more seriously. Poker becomes more than just a game. It's your passion, your career. This feeling lasts for a while as you climb up the stakes and start to make enough money to support yourself. Maybe you're even able to buy a house, start making some investments, and start setting yourself up for the future. But as time goes on, the highs and the lows start to take their toll. The winning streaks feel amazing, but the losing streaks are brutal. You find yourself questioning your decisions, doubting yourself, and wondering if you're on the right path. You start to feel lost. The passion that once drove you is overshadowed by frustration and uncertainty. You're putting in the hours, but something feels off. You start to wonder, why am I doing this? Where is this journey taking me? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many players hit this point on their journey. It's a critical moment where you need to reconnect with your core values and align your path with what truly matters to you. In this video, we're going to explore how embracing your core values can help you find direction on your poker career. Things change. One of the challenges poker players face is the initial things that got you into poker soon start to fade over time. The novelty of playing an exciting strategy game wears off. The thrill of winning and losing money gets old. The dream of one day playing high stakes starts to feel less achievable. What's left is the day-to-day grind. You've made so many sacrifices for poker, you start to question, is it all worth it? I'm here to tell you this is normal. And the good news is you don't have to start over and make any drastic changes. You just need to make a mindset shift and reconnect with what actually matters for you. Why your values are so important. Most people set a goal that they think they want to achieve and try to find fulfillment on the path. This rarely works out. Let's say you set the goal to build your bankroll to 100K. For the first few months, you grind and study like crazy, but over time you burn out and start to lose motivation. Even if you achieve the goal, you're still left feeling unfulfilled as you mistakenly thought the goal was going to be the path to fulfillment. I believe that a better way to approach life is to first understand your highest values and then use those to determine your goals and behaviors. I'll be showing you how this works in the rest of this video. Step 1, understand your core values. I'm going to share with you a path I took to discovering my values and share with you a path to understanding your own. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, which hopefully you won't have to. So I got into poker as a broke 23-year-old who had just graduated university. Poker was my way to escape the normal life path and maybe to make some money on the way. My first year of poker was super stressful as I moved to Thailand with some friends and tried to figure out if I could actually play this game, whilst also having to pay the bills and expenses that were coming in. It was very much about survival. Every dollar I made grinding went straight out of my account. To make things worse, I got a letter from my bank in England telling me that they'd closed my account and that I'd had to pay back my £2,000 overdraft, around $3,000, immediately. This was money that I did not have. So I put that letter in a drawer and thought I'd deal with that another time. It took about a year of grinding every day before I felt like the world wasn't going to collapse on me at any moment. Somewhere in my second year of poker, I started to make some money. I started to pay off my debts, build up my bankroll, and actually have some money in my bank account for the first time in 5 years. In case you didn't know, students are super broke. Now with a bit of breathing space, I started to think bigger and challenge myself and see what I could achieve in poker. I became obsessed with the game and set myself the challenge of getting to mid-stakes. Over the next 3 years, I went from playing $15 heads-up sit-and-goes to establishing myself as one of the better regulars at $300 games and loving every moment of it. I built my bankroll to 6 figures and I was getting Super Nova Elite rakeback, which at the time I think was worth around $108,000 per year. From the perspective of a broke 23-year-old starting out, I felt like I'd made it. Yet it was around this time that I started to stagnate. I started to lose my enjoyment for the game, and it started to feel like a grind. Now, if somebody had asked me at the time what my highest value was, I probably would have told them it was achievement. I was winning and making more money than I ever had before, but for some reason it didn't feel like I expected it to. Not knowing exactly what was going on, I instinctively started looking for answers, and this is when I started picking up books and reading. I remember picking up the book Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, which gets you to do a lot of reflecting and thinking about the things that bring you meaning in your life. I started to look back on my poker journey and what times I found most fun and enjoyable. For me, this was always when I was shot taking higher stakes. I started to break down exactly what it was about shot taking higher that I enjoyed. Did I like the competition? Yeah. Did I like the challenge? Yeah. But it felt like there was something deeper that I was missing. When I did some further reflecting, I pinpointed that the thing I liked the most about shot taking higher was leveling up. I liked the process of realizing I wasn't good enough and working harder to get better. I loved making progress and moving towards a better version of myself. And then it hit me. The thing I really valued wasn't achievement. It was growth. This might seem like a subtle difference, but for me, this was massive. The reason I was feeling stuck right now is because I felt like I'd stopped growing. I got lost in trying to achieve things, which is what I thought I wanted, but what I really wanted was just to learn, improve, and get better. As I reflected further, my other values started to become obvious as well. And at this time, they were health, relationships, freedom, and fun. I noticed when I was feeling my best, when I was feeling most fulfilled, was when I was prioritizing my values. If you're feeling a bit lost or unfulfilled right now, I can bet it's because you're neglecting some of the things that matter the most. Maybe it's your health. Poker is going well, but you've put on weight and you feel out of shape. Maybe it's your relationships. You've put so much time into poker over the last few years that you haven't had time to nurture your friendships or romantic relationship. Most of us have 3 to 5 core values that matter more to us than everything else. Once I knew my values, this opened up the next big question. How do I create a life that has me living in alignment with my values consistently? Step 2, create a life in alignment with your core values. Now, at this stage of my life, things were very out of sync. I was grinding 10-hour days, 6 days a week to hit my Supernova Elite rakeback. Although I was making good money, I didn't feel like I was growing or progressing. I wasn't seeing my friends much, and I wasn't even creating freedom in my life. Sure, I was my own boss, but sitting at a computer 10 hours a day wasn't exactly my vision of freedom. The only value that I was relatively in alignment with was my health, as I was in the habit of hitting the gym every day after my grind. So I started to ask myself some questions. The first was, what can I do on a daily or weekly basis that allows me to feel like I'm growing? The first thing that came to mind was learning something every day. I realized that poker used to fulfill this for me, but now it wasn't. Rather than set myself more poker study time, I decided I wanted to develop a reading habit and allow myself to read whatever I was interested in. This is one of the best decisions I ever made, and it instantly brought enjoyment back to my days. In fact, one of the reasons I'm coaching now and making this video today is because I developed the habit of daily learning. I asked myself the same question with my relationships, with freedom, and with fun. And I soon started to see that I could make subtle shifts in all of these areas that made me feel more connected to my days. Rather than feeling like life was a grind, I started to get that enjoyment back in my days and started going to bed with a feeling of accomplishment. I didn't have to do everything perfectly. I just had to do things in alignment with my values more regularly. So for you, what does a life in alignment with your core values look like on a daily or weekly basis? Often, there are just 1 or 2 key behaviors for each of your values that you need to keep on top of. Then the final challenge I experienced was what to do when shit gets hectic and you get out of sync. Step 3. Recalibrating when alignment is lost. Now, in an ideal world, we'd be able to create a perfect week where all of our values are neatly in alignment. But that's not how life works. Often we have times where we're intensely focused on 1 or 2 things and we don't have time for the other things. Maybe you're at the World Series in Vegas right now and all your attention is on playing as much poker as possible. As a result, you don't spend any time on your relationships, apart from the odd friend you bump into at the casino. Or maybe you're doing a W Cup series and you don't have the time in your days to hit the gym like you usually do. Going out of balance in the short term is fine, as long as you have a plan for how to regain balance later. If you go out of sync for too long, however, it takes a lot more effort to correct. I like to think of the analogy of a pendulum. At rest, it's nicely balanced in the middle. It takes no energy or effort to maintain. If I push it for one way, however, it's going to swing back the other way before it finally gets back to balance. For example, let's say you work really hard for a few weeks without recovering. You've pushed the pendulum far this way. Now, you're either going to burn out or you're going to have to swing back the other way with a few days or a week to recover before you get back to this balance point of equilibrium. Or say you put on 10 pounds eating badly over the summer, that puts you over here. You're now going to have to diet for weeks or months and exercise, which puts you over here to get you back to this baseline state in the middle. So the lesson to learn here is the closer you keep to the balance point, the less effort you need to put in to maintain it. If we're just to the side, we can course correct easily. If we're far off over this side, it takes a lot of energy to swing back before we can finally get back to this equilibrium point. This is a really useful analogy to remember, as in each area of your life, you have an optimal balance point. It's unrealistic to always stay there, but it's good to consciously be aware of when you've drifted too far either side. A good practice is to do a weekly review and a check-in with which of your values have gone out of alignment. Do you then continue to let them stay out of alignment, knowing it's going to take more effort to get them back into alignment later, or do you make some small adjustments now to make your life easier? Let's use the example of playing a W Cup series online, which I think is around 21 days. If you try to play every day, you're likely going to burn yourself out, or at the very least, you're going to need a full week to recover after the series is over. Unless you are chasing leaderboards, you might decide that it's better to take a full day off every week to recover, to pit stop, so the end of the series, you maybe only need a few days off, and then you can get back into your normal grind. Another example is you notice that at the end of the week, you've put on 3 pounds because you've been going to restaurants and eating some extra desserts with your friends. Rather than waiting until you can't fit into your jeans, you decide to have a week of no desserts and extra walking to get yourself back to your baseline weight. The good news is you can make relatively small changes when you catch misalignments early. So let's summarize what we've covered in today's video. Step 1, understand your core values. Step 2, create a life in alignment with your core values. Step 3, recalibrate when alignment is lost. This is the key to a fulfilling life, to go into bed with a sense of accomplishment of how you spent your time. Rather than chasing goals and hoping that one day that leads to fulfillment, you can feel fulfillment every day as you live a life in alignment with your values as you pursue your biggest goals. And as an extra bonus, you will notice you perform better at everything you do. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.